guys, I am back. I read to you once and I got so excited that I was like, I have another story and I have an idea that I wanted to share with you. Before I do that, I was going to show some of you because I know that Miss Blackman has probably told you, Miss Doris has told you, the reason I'm out is because of my knee. I hurt my knee and I hurt my whole leg, but my knee is what I had to go to the doctor and have surgery on. So I have this brace, and you can see my knee here, it's swollen right now. That's why it's a big hump. Swollen just means that it's big, and it does that some days. Right now it's doing it a lot, which is why I can't be there with you, because it hurts so bad. When it gets so big, it's so painful to move around. So a lot of my time I'm spending here on my couch with this brace on, and it gets lonely, and I miss you. I miss teaching. It's my favorite thing in the world to do. And so I just wanted to share that with you in case some of you are like, hey, why isn't she here? It's because of my knee, and I was just going to show you so that you knew. And earlier I read My Lucky Day. The book I have right now is called Dinner with Olivia. And now if I look at the cover of My Lucky Day and I look at Olivia, I notice already that there is something that they have in common. That means that they have something similar. I see a pig here, which we were introduced in My Lucky Day. He was known as Piglet. Here is a family of pigs. And just because I know the show Olivia, and I have a bunch of the Olivia books, I know that this is our main character, Olivia. So we're going to read Dinner with Olivia, and then I'm going to show you something. After a busy morning at school, it was finally time for lunch. Olivia joined her friends Julian and Francine in the cafeteria. A cream cheese, a pickle, and a raisin sandwich, Olivia announced as she opened her lunchbox. She took a big bite and smiled. Julian had a peanut butter calzone for lunch. Want a taste? He asked. I don't think so, said Olivia. No, thank you, said Francine as she took her lunch out of her backpack. It was in a shiny purple box. What kind of lunchbox is that? Asked Olivia. It's called a bento box, said Francine. My parents got it for me in Japan. Each compartment held a different kind of food. Chicken satay, baby corn, star fruit, and that wasn't all. Look at this, Francine said proudly as she took her utensil out of the box. Wow, Olivia and Julian said at the same time. Cool spoon, said Julian. Cool fork, said Olivia. It's both. It's a spork, said Francine. Olivia and Julian were amazed. So keep that in mind. This utensil is a combination of a spoon and a fork. So it has some qualities of a spoon, like the shape, and some qualities of a fork, like the prongs on a fork. Francine dug the spork into her bento box and pulled out a Brussels sprout. And this is a Brussels sprout. It's from Belgium in Europe. And that, if you know me, if you remember this from last year, Europe is the place I want to go to most of all. So she's saying the original Brussels sprouts were from Belgium, which is in Europe. If you remember here, the bento box came from Japan, which is in the largest continent, Asia. And Europe and Asia are beside each other. Europe's just much smaller. They're delicious, Francine answered. At my house, everything is perfectly delicious. Then Francine had an idea. Olivia, you must simply come to my house for dinner. Really? Will there be Brussels sprouts? Olivia asked. Of course not, said Francine. We never eat the same food twice in 1 year. Olivia was so happy to hear that. I'd love to come. Thank you. Perfect, said Francine. I'll have my mother call your mother. At home that night, Olivia decided she needed to practice her manners before going to Francine's house for dinner. So she hosted her own dinner party. She reminded her guests to always say please and thank you and to put their napkins on their laps. She told them never to fall asleep at the table. She made sure they remembered to chew with their mouths closed. At a fancy dinner party, everything needs to be perfect, Olivia told her guests. So she is pretending to have a dinner party and she's practicing. These are things that you can practice too. Like at lunch, you can put your napkin in your lap to protect your clothes. That's part of having manners. Chew with your mouth closed. Make sure that you have good table manners. Olivia imagines what a dinner at Francine's house would be like. She pictures a fancy party at a mansion in the English countryside with waiters on roller skates, serving pink lemonade in tall glasses with straws and monkeys juggling fruit. Olivia, dinner time, called her mother, interrupting her daydream. So this is what she's dreaming it will be like. At the dinner table, Olivia's brother Ian slurped his spaghetti, splattering her dress with tomato sauce. One of his meatballs fell to the floor where Perry the dog picked it up in his mouth. Perry, that's my meatball, Ian yelled, chasing him around the table. Perry gobbled it up with his mouth open, leaving tomato sauce everywhere. I am quite sure they don't eat like this at Francine's house, Olivia groaned. If you're groaning, that's like, ugh. She just thinks it will not be like this at Francine's. The next day, Olivia walked to Francine's house with her mother and brothers. Have fun tonight, Olivia, her mother said. And don't forget to invite Francine to our house for dinner, too. Our house, said Olivia, horrified. She looked over at her brothers. Ian was blowing bubbles in his juice box, and William's face was smeared with jam. She imagined what dinner at their house would look like to Francine. So remember, she thinks Francine is going to have a really fancy dinner. This is what she thinks dinner at their house would look like to Francine. Welcome to our cave. At Francine's house, Olivia gave Francine's mother a bouquet of flowers. Why, thank you, Olivia, but I have a rule about no fresh flowers in the house, said Francine's mother. They make such a mess when the petals drop. Be sure to wipe your feet, Olivia. We mustn't get footprints on the white carpet. Like any good guest, Olivia told funny stories. Just as Francine's father was telling her it wasn't polite to tell jokes at the dinner table, Olivia saw Francine's mom come out of the kitchen with bowls full of Brussels sprouts. Olivia looked at the pile of green in her bowl. To be polite, she decided to take a very small bite. Maybe Francine was right. Maybe Brussels sprouts were delicious. Maybe not. Olivia quickly reached for her water glass to wash it down, but oops! She knocked one of the Brussels sprouts out of her bowl and it rolled on the table onto the white carpet. Francine's mother and father were not pleased. Olivia and Francine were told to sit at the kids' table. Are you mad at me? Asked Francine. Why would I be mad? Asked Olivia. Because of the Brussels sprouts and the no jokes at the table, said Francine. And, well, I was afraid you wouldn't be my friend anymore. Of course we're still friends, said Olivia. And you should come to dinner at my house. Later that week, it was finally Francine's turn to come to Olivia's house for dinner. It was spaghetti night again. I've never seen anyone do that before, said Francine as she watched Ian slurp his spaghetti. Try it, said Ian. I'll race you, said Olivia. Turns out Francine was a natural at slurping spaghetti. See, Francine didn't get to do that at her house. That night, as Olivia's mother tucked her into bed, Olivia had one thing on her mind. Can we have spaghetti again tomorrow night, she asked. That's a little too soon, don't you think, said Olivia's mother. Okay, good night, Mom, Olivia yawned. Sweet dreams, Olivia, whispered her mother as she turned off the light and closed the door. So in this story, Olivia, she learns to be grateful. Her way of doing things at her house, the way that they have dinner, is different from the way that they do it at Francine's. And she thought Francine's was going to be fabulous, such a fancy party. And she learned there were lots of rules, and it got kind of uncomfortable for her because she was used to dinner at her house. She was used to it being pretty open. They got to have fun, tell jokes at the table, slurp their spaghetti. And there weren't so many rules at her house. So she thought she would really like Francine's, but she learned at the end, you know what, I kind of like my house and my family's way of doing things because that's what was comfortable for her. Now, I want you to think about, I have a piece of paper here, and I want you to think about comparing the two stories. So if I was going to do a Venn diagram, I would do a circle and another circle. So my Venn diagram looks like this. Two circles, they don't have to be perfect, and they come together in the middle for this column in the middle. Now, in the middle part, I'm going to write both. B-O-T-H. Okay, I have both. Now, over here, I'm going to write the title, My Lucky Day. And the first letter of the word is capitalized in the title. Over here, I'm going to write Dinner with Olivia. Okay, and it looks like this. Now, on a Venn diagram, the reason that we do these is to compare stories. So if I think about, we've already talked about one thing that these stories had. Both of them had pigs as characters. So in the both column, I'm going to write pigs. They both have pigs. And if I think about what they both had also, they both had food in the story. The fox, remember, he was trying to make a roast. And then the piglet said, could you fatten me up first? And so the fox had to feed the piglet. In Dinner with Olivia, it was the whole story was about food. Okay, so I have pigs and food is what they have in common. Over here and over here, we're just going to write a few things that they do not have in common. How are they different? So My Lucky Day was different because there was a fox. And My Lucky Day, in My Lucky Day, if I think about the piglet, that piglet I could describe as clever. That piglet was thinking about a way to get out of being the fox's dinner. So I'm going to write clever characters. And I would say that Dinner with Olivia was not really clever. Olivia was a dreamer. Remember, she was daydreaming about what dinner would be like at Francine's house, and she was daydreaming about what it would be like if Francine came to her house. That's when she said it would look like a cave. This is what she thought it would look like when she was just imagining it. So I'm going to put that in Dinner with Olivia. They had a family of pigs. We didn't see a family over in My Lucky Day. It was just Piglet by himself. Over here, I'm going to put that the character was a dreamer, because that's different. We didn't see a dreamer over in My Lucky Day. And now, if we think about the setting is where a story happens. So if I'm thinking about the setting of My Lucky Day and the setting of Dinner with Olivia, those are happening in a home. They have the same setting. This story happened in Fox's home. This story happened in Olivia's home and Francine's home. The first part of it was in a school. So we can put that over at Dinner with Olivia. There was a school. But what they both had in common was the setting was at home for most of the story. I put school over here because there wasn't a school in My Lucky Day. And at the end, they both taught us a lesson. In My Lucky Day, we got to see how the pig could outsmart the fox, and the pig got really clever. He wore the fox out, so the fox was super exhausted and had to take a nap, and he escaped getting in the roast pan. In Dinner with Olivia, we learned to be thankful for the way that our families do things. My dinner at my house might be different from your dinner at your house, but you can be thankful that your family has something that's unique to them. So I'll put on here, they both teach us a lesson. Okay, like this. And Dinner with Olivia, they discussed continents. There was some talk about Europe, and there was some talk about Japan, which we know is in the continent of Asia, the largest continent. So under the Dinner with Olivia in the bubble, not in the both bubble, because they both did not talk about continents, but Dinner with Olivia, they discussed continents. And I'm going to put on here geography. That's a big word. Geography just means different places. Geography is like the study of maps. So different places are studied through geography, places on a map. And in My Lucky Day, one final thing that we can add is the piglet had cookies. They did not have cookies in Dinner with Olivia. They had spaghetti and Brussels sprouts. So I'm going to add cookies to that one to make that circle bigger. So this is all things that are unique to My Lucky Day. These are all things to do with Dinner with Olivia. And then this is the way that they are both the same. This is how we compare and contrast. This is called a Venn diagram. So you could make one of these if you read a story and think, hey, that story has a connection with another story that I've read. You can make a Venn diagram to say how they are different and how they are alike. And I'm just going to write on here because we know the first step is always the same. Don't forget to write your name. And I almost forgot. I'm going to put Miss Seebeck's Venn diagram at the bottom, just to label it. If you can see it, that's something new for you to try. I hope that you have a fabulous rest of your day. I love you. Goodbye.